All right. It says we're live. I never trust it until I get to see it with my own eyes. Well, so glad to have Cass from Clutterbug. Of course, she doesn't need introductions. I know you all know who she is, but definitely an organizing expert, but also one heck of a declutterer as well. And so, Cass, why don't you, if you don't mind, tell us what have you been doing all day before you just got here?
Yeah, I almost missed this. I was like just literally flew in the door. I was like wiping sweat off. I was decluttering the biggest declutter I ever have done in one day today. So started at
Huh.
9 a.m., just got done, 3 rooms packed floor to ceiling, couldn't even open the door. And it was just me and the homeowner.
What?
Yeah, we went through, we made decisions on every single thing, opened every tote, opened everything. I did hire movers for the big pieces of furniture. We just tagged everything go, stay, go, stay, go, stay. And then her and I went through like 15 years worth of boxes, just opening up, made decisions. We took action.
Wow.
I am so tired. There was
Yeah.
no lunch, but everything that was leaving left, and we just moved everything to the front yard, and I put it on Facebook Marketplace. I took random pictures as we were going, and I said, here's the address, it's free, come get everything by 5. And I left, and the last roll up desk was leaving, so I'm like,
Cass, that is incredible. People pay big money for this type of service. I have a feeling that you didn't charge her enough at all.
I don't no, I volunteer my time. I try to do
I
one
love that
family a
about you.
month.
One
Yeah, I
family
try
a
to do.
month. That's huge.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel so good. Like I love it so much, and because I don't
Hmm.
really work with clients anymore, like I've this just fulfills me. It
Well, do you know
fulfills
what's
me
funny?
because
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But Tom and I just decided. So what stresses me out about going to other people's homes is videoing it. I would love to help people. The video part is very stressful to me. You're more experienced with it, but making sure the lighting's good and the audio. And I never want to put anyone on the spot when we're decluttering with them. And so we just decided we're like, let's just go to people's homes and not video it. Because I want to help more like in our community and in our area. And so I'm like, let's just do it and not video it. And like I want my kids to get involved. I want them to help a little bit. And so we just
I
decided that.
love
But tell
that.
us, why is it so fulfilling to you?
It's fulfilling because I get to see firsthand the weight being lifted off them. Not just
Yeah.
physically, like the things leaving their
Yeah.
house, but like it's crazy just how much you see them like kind of like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She cried today. The homeowner
Oh,
cried
yeah.
just being able to walk in an empty room and just being part of that. I'm selfish. Like it just I'm like, "Oh my god, all of the feels."
Yeah.
And I know every single day for the rest of their life is going to be better.
Yeah.
And so being able to witness this is incredible. I wish I
Yeah.
could do this for everyone,
Yeah. I
but we
know.
do kind of get
We
to
do
do
kind
this.
of. So today, Cass and I, Cass, this is fun because this is a new teaching you and I have never done before, but it's been something we've been talking a lot about. Like Cass and I just talk about like, how can we help people more? How can we help them better? Like, how can we connect the dots quicker and faster and help it go more smoothly? So today we're calling this 5 steps to an always tidy kitchen. Of course, at the end, we are going to mention our Take Your House Back course because we're doing our next all day declutter on Saturday. So if you're like, yeah, Cass and Dawn, bring it to my house too. We can't come to your house this weekend, but we can. Like, we will absolutely coach you and guide you. And you can get those same impacts like at your house too. So, 5 steps to an always tidy kitchen. And so this is what I truly believe for you if you are watching today. We believe that you can have a consistently clean and tidy kitchen with less effort than you're currently using. And right now we're going to share 5 steps that work for all kitchen sizes and all seasons of life. I know those of you who think you have teeny tiny kitchens, you tend to think the same tactics don't work, but they 1000% work. Actually, Cass, you've always said too, your kitchen is actually very small. It just looks big on camera, right?
Everybody who comes over, they're like, "Wow, your kitchen's actually so small." I'm like, "I know, right?"
And ours is too. Ours looks small and is small. And so there's that. It can be a blessing in disguise though, because we can't keep everything. All right. I also have a free printable. So there is a link in the description. So if you are nodding along and this sounds really good and practical, do know that you can just print this off and then you'll have it with you when you're working in your kitchen, which I think can be really helpful. All right. So, real quick though, this can sound exciting when we're saying here's the success path to a consistently tidy kitchen. It can also sound a little bit overwhelming. So, even right now, you could practice one of our key tactics, which is 5 minutes matters. So we know, right? Cass goes to homes. I work with people more virtually, but we know the limitations of time, energy, physical limitations, and probably the biggest one, motivation limitations, right? And so, Cass, can you describe a little bit like what could happen in 5 minutes if someone literally got up right now and set their timer?
You could get your dishes done in 5 minutes, and I'll fight someone who says you can't. At least a lot of the dishes done in 5
Yeah.
minutes. You can get your stovetop cleaned off in 5 minutes. You can clean out the microwave and wipe the front of the fridge in 5 minutes. You can put away an entire load of laundry, which isn't kitchen related, but just saying, in 5 minutes. For some reason, our brain expands these things.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but we always overestimate how long it's going to take us to do something. And then
Yes.
while we're doing it, we are also expanding that time. So, setting a timer, this changed my life.
Yeah.
Actually, timing myself doing things because I was shocked
Yep.
when something was only 5 minutes that I thought was 15 or 20.
And here's a picture just from my own kitchen when it just looks really messy. And I just took 5 minutes. I was putting stuff away. I was grouping like with like. And again, I didn't get it all done. But if you walked into my kitchen after these 5 minutes, it felt more doable. It felt less chaotic. And I wanted to keep going after I did this too, because it felt less scary once I got some of the big stuff removed from this space. So, everything we're going to talk about, this whole success path, you can do it in 5 minute chunks too and make huge progress in your house. All right. So again, what we were kind of talking about in the beginning, all this success path that Cass and I work together to create, it's actually Cass, and we've both arrived at this just like from working with you, working in our own homes. And so, like Cass said, you go into people's homes and you need to have practical solutions. And so this is what you have seen time and time and time again. And I love it so much too. And so that's where this came up. That's how this came about, was from working with real life people like you. It's not just a pretty graphic, right? Like this is what we have found actually works. So we're going to go through these 5 steps. They are: 1, dishes daily; 2, clear the counters; 3, declutter, and then declutter again, and then declutter one more time for good measure.
Yeah.
And then 4 is zoning. This is the one that Cass has really taught me a lot about, that has been really good in my own kitchen. And then, of course, the icing on top is to organize based on your unique organizing style. All right, so Cass, you kind of touched on it, but why is starting with dishes every single day? Why is that where we want to start?
This is something we wanna create a daily habit, but more than that, this is the thing. If we put off, it's harder tomorrow. Like, if we put off putting away the laundry, it's not gonna be physically harder tomorrow, but if we put off the dishes, it's drying on, it's getting crusty, we're adding more, we're making life harder for tomorrow. So
Yeah.
this is like that critical non-negotiable thing. You gotta do your dishes every day, and stop. No like, this is a hard rule for you that will literally save you hours, that will make you feel better about yourself.
Mhm.
It's pretty empowering, and it is 100% step 1. Like,
And
I
I mean,
like to group it if we're doing
yeah,
coaching, like, if we talk about the groups, right? It's like,
yeah.
are you in your I call this group A. So
Mhm.
if your dishes aren't done, you're group A, and we have to finish that before we can move to the next step.
Well, and for me, I don't know, is I think this is like it for everyone. I'd be curious to see your comments. Dishes are the hardest thing in the kitchen, right? If for most, is that true for most people? Like for me, dishes are the hardest thing, or the most annoying thing, the thing I
Those
put
are
off the
annoying.
most. So it's like if I do the dishes, and if that is like no matter what, I just one singular focus, I'm going to do the dishes. That's actually the hardest thing. And so then to wipe down the counters or to tidy up the counters and to put some other stuff, maybe have one of the kids sweep quick. it doesn't actually feel that hard if I'm doing the dishes every single day. So,
Yeah.
uh,
And
go
clutter
ahead.
attracts clutter, right?
Mhm.
So when you have
Yeah.
stacks of dirty dishes, you're more likely to put down papers or random things. Like our brain is telling us that this is a dumping ground and that's okay.
And I am seeing comments like, yes, dishes were the hardest. So I don't want to make it sound like this is like super, this is still something I struggle with, just so everybody knows. I'll talk about it in decluttering, how I've made it have to happen every single day. Um, I just totally lost my train of thought, but it can be difficult too. So here's what I would ask: how often do you currently do the dishes? And again, if you're still needing to develop this habit, let's not worry so much about the other steps in the success path, because Cass, you've probably noticed this, and so have I, is that if people jump ahead to decluttering or organizing, then they get frustrated because they're like, I've been decluttering and my kitchen still stays messy. And I really think the secret is the dishes. I mean, decluttering is huge, don't get me wrong, but I think the dishes play a bigger part than maybe we want to let on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I used to be a once a week dishes person. Like
Mm.
I can't I thought that it was weird to do your dishes every or neurotic or something or I just didn't have time. And it took a while for it to like I had to force myself in the beginning, but now I don't even think about it. Like
Yeah.
it's totally this subconscious thing. If I have a ton of dishes, I'll put a movie on my iPad and I'll
Hmm.
watch it while I do them. But
Yeah.
most of the time I go like my brain just shuts off and it's just done, and the
Yeah.
whole family pitches in after dinner, and it's
Hmm.
4 minutes, and
Yeah.
everything like, you know what I'm saying? I
I,
it
I
takes a
absolutely,
while.
yes, to develop the
It
habit.
becomes autopilot.
It
It
does.
really does.
And don't you actually feel really good about yourself? Because so I know there's a group of people that you do the dishes every night, you run the dishwasher every night, and you already have that habit. And great, we're going to move on to other steps. But for those of us who this is still not autopilot, there is, I mean, there's nothing easy about it. I feel really good about myself when I do the dishes every day, because those dishes dirty on the counter mocked me till no end. Like, Dawn, you suck at being a homemaker and taking
Mhm.
care of your family and all the things, right? And so we can move on from that. But it's a huge confidence booster when we really commit to this and stick with it, I think. All right, so number two is to clear the counters. I am so passionate about this one. I know people will fight me tooth and nail, like, but what about the toaster? And what about the KitchenAid? And what about the knife block and all those things? I have found ways to put all of those in cabinets, and my kitchen feels so good. We leave the coffee maker out. What are your exceptions, Cass? Like, what do you leave out on the counter?
We leave fresh fruit out, we leave the coffee maker out, and then I have, like, a little piece of decor in the corner that I change for the season, and that's it. But I'm gonna say we are both hidden organizers. So,
True.
if you are
Okay.
visual, I'm just going to say you're going to have a little bit more out than a hidden organizer. But here is the rule. And I don't care what your organizing style is. I don't care how much space you have. Like, if you don't use it every day, it cannot stay on your counter and stop. So if you have spatulas and spoons in a jar you use all the time, great. If you're using your blender twice a week, it cannot stay on your counter because, again, clutter attracts clutter.
Yeah.
And so visually, it's going to look to your brain and to your
Mhm.
eyes that there's mess when there isn't, when it's really full, and you're more likely to pile and add to the mess.
Yes, that's absolutely what I found, was that when I was letting stuff still sit out, it never felt totally tidy or done at the end of the night. It was like it wasn't complete, and your brain is always questioning, does that need to go away? Does that get put away? No, this gets put away. No, that doesn't. But where it's like, no, pretty much everything gets put away. It's very easy, like, for your brain at the end of the day, especially at the end of the day when we don't have a lot of extra brain power. I also appreciate what you say, Cass, to use vertical, like, wall space and different things if you are a visual organizer, because even stuff on the counter, as soon as one other thing is piled on top, your visual reminder just went out the window.
Mhm. And IKEA has amazing, like, buckets and rods and hanging. You put them right
Mhm.
on your backsplash, get that stuff off your counter, and then you can still wipe, but you can still see what you have. So there's so many inexpensive, great options. But a lot of people will say to me, I don't have space in my cabinets. And I have not had a client who hasn't said this to me. And I'll tell you what, we always find space.
Yeah.
And there are a few tricks. Are we sharing this? Or are we waiting for the all day declutter?
Oh, yeah. Hang on to that thought. So, what else do people fight you on? I was just thinking utensil caddies too. People can be really attached to their utensil caddies. That can go in a drawer. Knife blocks can go in a drawer. I love your tip to put the toaster in a little
Toaster
bin so
in a
it's
bin.
not trailing crumbs everywhere and it's really easy
Mhm.
to get in and out.
If you're only using the toaster in the morning, I know that's still once a day. You should still tuck it away. You
Yeah.
should. You should still tuck your toaster away. It takes 30 seconds and it will instantly make your kitchen feel bigger and cleaner.
Yeah. For those of you who are joining us live, like what are you thinking right now? What's hard to move off, or is there something you're thinking I could probably move that off? Because I know friends in the comments will help you think of some creative solutions too if you're having any difficulty with that. Okay, so number 3 is to declutter. And actually, as you were saying that, Cass, about finding space, so this is Dana. I did get to go to her house and help her. This is the extent of her kitchen here. It's a galley and like very small. And she's like, Dawn, I have made so many passes through it. Can you see how much stuff we have pulled out on the counter here? She still had so much stuff. And I was like, Dana, like, are you actually using this stuff like every week, every month at least? And it was amazing how much we found that she wasn't, right? Even though her and her daughter love to bake. And so we didn't get rid of a lot of it, but we did relocate it down to her basement where it didn't have to live in her kitchen.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, Dawn. We always think there's like, well, it's a kitchen item, so it has to stay in the kitchen, which is the biggest misconception. Your roasting pan, your big soup pots, your big bowls that you use for salad when entertaining, those honestly shouldn't stay in your kitchen. Especially if it was a small kitchen, those
Yeah.
should be located to some storage area in your home that like the garage or the basement to free up space in your kitchen.
I love that. And so a big mindset shift that I've made is that your kitchen should serve you and your season of life. So I have a picture here of like a commercial kitchen, like a restaurant kitchen. If you would go back, if you were in a restaurant and you went in back, they wouldn't have like random stuff in the kitchen. They wouldn't have piles of paper clutter. They wouldn't have the pampered chef thing that they impulse bought at a party but never figured out how to use. So it's just like in a drawer taking up space. Like it is made for efficiency and it's made for easy cleanup, right? And so, what if we started saying, I want my kitchen to serve me? I only want to have stuff in there that I use all of the time. And I want it to be super easy to clean up, which for me means I can't have extra stuff in there. The drawers and cabinets can only be about half full if I want my family to actually put stuff back away. And so that has been the only way we've made our small kitchen function really well is to ruthlessly declutter it.
Yeah. I see a lot of comments. There's people fighting for their stuff on their counters. There's people
I
fighting
would
for it.
say do an experiment and just try it
Yes.
and see if maybe it just feels better. I think too, like we live in such a busy world right now, and our brains just want a break. But when we're used to stuff, that's just what feels normal. But if you would just try to tuck some more of this stuff away, I think your brain is going to be like, oh, after like a day after it adjusts to it, it's be
Mhm.
like, that actually feels really nice. Now, if you
Yeah.
have physical limitations or like, I do understand there are exceptions, but for the rest of y'all, start moving it out.
Yeah, we call this the clean counter challenge. Like give yourself 30 days. Get some stuff out of the
Yeah.
out of the cabinets, pack it up, put the stuff on the counter, maybe in where you've created room and just live with it for
Hmm.
30 days and see. You've made no permanent decisions.
Yeah.
It's pretty life-changing.
It is. And that's where, time will tell bins can be so effective with kitchen stuff because we spend a lot of money. We have a lot of emotions. I don't want to bypass either that we can feel really guilty about a lot of the stuff that we've bought. I mean, how many gadgets do we like impulse buy because an Instagrammer made it look so great, right? And then we're like, well, the
Mhm.
only way to make right of this is to use it, right? But yeah, a time will tell bin can be really effective to just pack stuff away for a little bit and see if you actually miss it. And so, what items in your kitchen can you think about right now that don't match your current season of life? So, is there baking stuff you don't use? Do you have a bread maker and you haven't made bread in 4 years? Other appliances, just having the blender in the cabinet is not going to make you make smoothies every morning, right? So,
And
if
you
it's
even if you do use the blender, why do you have all the other attachments that came with the
yes,
blender?
right,
Why those can go. That frees up so much space. All the other stupid little things that came with your blender and your food processor,
yep,
stop it.
yeah,
You don't need to keep the parts.
right.
Don't do it.
I love it. All right, so after we've decluttered, now we can start zoning. And so, Cass, I'm going to let you talk about this because I'll talk about how I've done it in my kitchen recently, and it has been such a game changer.
Yeah, I think zoning is one of the most important things that you can do in every area of your home, but the kitchen is key. But you definitely have to declutter first. You have to. You have to be in the habit of doing your dishes. This is why this is a success path that you have to
Hmm.
follow. So I don't want you jumping ahead to this before you've done the others. But what zoning really means is taking advantage of the valuable real estate. So the things that you use every day go in your valuable real estate. That's waist to eye level.
Hmm.
So your counter, the top drawer, and the bottom shelf of your upper cabinets, and zoning things where you use them. We want to be lazy and walk the least amount as possible. So store your dishes above the dishwasher or beside the dishwasher. Wherever you stand to naturally cook or bake, that's where you store the things you
Yeah.
use to do that activity, and starting with the things you touch the most often first, because we
Yep.
can't, maybe we stand here to bake and cook, but we cook more than we bake, then cooking gets priority. But that's what we
Hmm.
do. We look at our kitchen efficiently, not how we unpacked it on the day when we were tired and we were moving in and our friends weren't helping us.
Yes.
Like, this is the glass cupboard, I guess.
Right.
Whatever.
Or
Why
the
are
way our
our
kitchen
mugs?
was growing up, or
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like, why
Hmm.
are our mugs not above the coffee maker?
Yes.
Why are our plates not really close to the dishwasher? Why are we
Hmm.
walking across the kitchen to put them away? It's bonkers when we think about it, but we're just in the habit sometimes.
Yeah. And this picture is a drawer I was just redoing. And I had this on top, there's like a big tea caddy thing. My fantasy self like drinks a lot of tea. In reality, I don't. And so I'm like, why do I have this mega tea thing taking up storage? And then we had hardly any space for the K pods, which we do use every single day. And so I moved out the tea caddy. I put a little bit of tea in the back of the drawer. You can see my favorite kind, and then made lots of room for the K pods, so we're not always refilling it. And it works so well. And Tom, he was like, well, I kind of thought we should have done this a while ago, but I didn't want to say anything. And I'm like, you can say something. Like that was just kind of silly, but I let it be like that for so long. And so, what's one thing that needs to be rezoned in your kitchen that you can think right now? And why did it end up there? I do think my kitchen was set up just the way it was in our house growing up because I didn't actually know any other way, and I didn't question it. And so that has actually been really fun, actually, now that our kitchen is decluttered, to be able to go around and really strategically move stuff around and feel like I have plenty of space to do so. So decluttering is a huge part of even being able to think that this is possible.
I think this zoning is the one area that is helpful sometimes to get a second opinion. Have someone
Yeah.
come in and say, "Hey, what's weird about my kitchen?" Like, I go to people's homes, I don't say anything because that's not nice, but I'm always like, "That's weird that you're really short and the thing you use every day is on the top shelf." So
Right.
sometimes we do. We're so used to it that we can't see what we don't know. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
I think that makes a lot of sense. And maybe I'll ask some of your family members too. Like, if we could put stuff anywhere, what would we, where would we move stuff or whatever? So I think
Yeah,
that's
what do
that's
I
really good.
use every single day? Is it
Hmm.
in the easiest spot to access? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no.
Right. Yeah. Again, our kitchen really should serve us and work for us, not against us. All right, now this is actually a really fun cast. Okay, so I have to tell you this story. When I started my YouTube channel and I'm talking about decluttering and all this, and I would see comments every single day. Dawn, you need to find out what your Clutterbug style is. Dawn, what's your bug style? Dawn, I bet you're a ladybug. Oh no, I bet she's a butterfly. And I'm like, friends, I don't organize. Like the reason I have decluttered my house so far is because I'm not good at organizing. I don't like organizing. I don't like color coding things. Don't even get me started about decanting. I think that is the most ridiculous thing in the whole world. And so I'm not going to go take a quiz and find out what my organizing style is. I'm just going to keep getting rid of stuff. So then I met Cass and I learned about your system of organizing. And please, anyone on here, we will put a link to take the Clutterbug quiz. If you do not know your organizing style, it is one of the best gifts you can give to yourself, because here I thought I was a loser organizer because nothing I put in place ever stayed that way. And it turns out I was just not organizing for my style. Now that I know what my style is, Cass, I've been having so much fun organizing my kitchen now.
I love it. Yeah, we have the same style too. We have the best
Mhm.
style. I'm just gonna say, no, there's no best style. But as ladybugs, it's like giving ourselves permission to just toss it in a basket,
Yes.
you know? Freedom. And that isn't for everyone. So that's
Yeah.
the other thing. We also don't fold and we're not apologetic about it. That took me a long time to be okay to say I
Yes.
don't fold my clothes and I
Mhm.
still get hate, but
I
I
know.
I own it now.
I know, right? Me too.
Because I know that that's okay. You
Mhm.
organize I organize my way, and it's pretty life-changing. Sometimes you can't put everybody into 4 categories, and that's
Sure.
okay, but
Mhm.
most of the time you really can, and it's critical to know yourself so that you don't waste time and money
Yes.
when you're organizing your space. You're not buying things or striving for something that you're gonna fail to be able to maintain. Any of us can set
Yeah.
up any system. We can
Mhm.
do it once. We can make it look gorgeous,
Yes.
but
Yes.
can we maintain that every
Mhm.
single day?
Right.
If the answer is no, we gotta know that before going into the store and spending 1 penny.
And honestly, I pretty much everything in my house I organized with like dollar store containers, boxes, cereal boxes covered in contact paper. And I really did want to try it out before I started investing in like nice acrylic containers and all of that. And so I'm really glad for that experience, because I do think if I would have just jumped into buying really nice containers, I would have wasted a lot of money and bought things that I didn't
Mhm.
need. I've been able to get by with way less than I would have expected now that I've decluttered so much, but now that I also know my organizing style as well. I also, Cass, do you think it's helpful to know your spouse's organizing style, other family members as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important because if everyone's using the pantry, but you're a cricket, I don't want you organizing the kids' snacks in a really detailed way. I don't want you
Yeah.
decanting all of your different little things because your 5-year-old's gonna go in to grab a handful of, fish crackers and not put the lid back on, or your husband's just gonna set something on top of all your pretty containers, and so we need to think about everybody's style
Yeah.
on the spaces that everyone's touching on a daily basis. If you're the only one who cooks, you organize your spices however you want, but if everyone's sharing a space, we have to compromise, and we have to compromise to the less detailed and the visual organizer. So butterflies always win
Yeah.
because they struggle the most to follow a hidden detailed system. So
Hmm.
you're just it's like asking someone who doesn't know addition to do calculus, right? It our brain doesn't work like that, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. No, I think that's so good. And it was helpful for me too, because Cass, you do such a good job of like explaining the tendencies of each bug style. And so Tom's a cricket. And it was helpful when I heard you say that crickets often don't want to organize until they know they can do it perfectly. And I would look at like his desk and I'm like, cricket, huh? And then I'm like, oh, right. You don't know what to do with all this paper. You don't want to put a system in place unless you know that you're going to do it once, you're going to do it right, and then you're going to maintain it. And he didn't know what to do with it, right? And so then we could start to brainstorm some different ideas, and I could gently encourage him that it might not be perfect the first time, but we will make adjustments and it'll be fine.
Yeah, crickets and bees both do this, and it for the spouse looking in, we're like, "What is it looks so messy. What is going on?" But for them, they would it's like, I don't wanna just do it again. I don't wanna
Yes.
throw it messily in a basket to then have to go and redo it again, so I'd rather have a pile everywhere than have to do something twice. this is something that we need to get over, right? And
Yeah.
we can help our but we also need to be a little bit more detailed too. So I think
Yeah.
it's helpful.
It's
It's just
it is.
helpful. It's
It at least
helpful.
gives you common language, I think, to be able to talk about it and to realize that I'm not wrong for the way I throw stuff in bins, and he's not wrong for, wanting to do things in a very precise way. And so it's helped us to understand each other so much. And I can already start to recognize in our kids too, their different tendencies as well, which has been, I know when they're really little, I think everyone's visual. Is that what you say for kids? But then as they've gotten older
Most of the
now,
time.
yeah, it's
Yeah, for
now I can
sure. And then you can
recognize.
start seeing their little
Mhm.
detailed analytical logical brain coming out, or they're like us and they're more laid back, and when they're done with something they're not even they're like squirrel, they're
Yeah.
onto something else, and whatever they have in their hands just kind of drops where they're
Yep.
done that
Yep.
thought.
Yep.
But knowing that no one's doing that on purpose, they're not
Yeah.
doing that to be spiteful or because they're lazy or
Mhm.
because they don't care. They just need clutter catchers. They need a system that's so simple that they can just put it down. It's just as easy to put away as it is to put it down, right? So
Yeah.
knowing that is helpful, and I
Yep.
think it's helpful for your spouse
I think
too,
so.
because I think there's a lot of resentment sometimes between husband and wife and who's doing more and who's not picking up after themselves and why aren't you using this amazing system that I set up? And
Yeah, I
a
agree.
lot of times, it's because you're expecting them to do something that their brain
Yes.
100% doesn't think like you when it
Yeah,
comes to managing your stuff.
absolutely. So, well, I'd love to know. I know I've been seeing the different organizing styles in here. Also, if you know like your spouses or partners or other people in your house, it has that been helpful for you to know as well. So, this is Cass. I just appreciate your knowledge on all of this. And it's so obvious that you have worked with hundreds and hundreds of people because you're so good at this. And so, our question to you now is how can we help you more? What do you need? Are you good? Can you get the information from our YouTube videos and you can apply it and you are good to go? If so, that's awesome. Both Cass and I strive to put out like 800 times as much free content as we would ever ask you to buy. So we hope that you find our videos and everything super helpful. And I see lots of comments that people can get their house decluttered with that. However, if you need a little more help, there's nothing wrong with you. So, if it would be helpful if you had a date on the calendar, like Saturday for an all day declutter, if it was be helpful if you had Cass coaching you. So, in our YouTube videos, we deliver a lot of information. In a course like the Take Your House Back course, we coach you, we give you a game plan, we take you step by step through different areas. And so it's different, right? It's a game plan, it's coaching, it's accountability, it's a date on the calendar where you tell your family, like, hey, everyone, like, be out of this house or plan to be my helper on Saturday because I am decluttering. And so we just want to be able to help you. And so, what can we do to do that? So, Cass, do you want to just kind of describe what the all day declutter is like? Because, or let me explain real quick. With the Take Your House Back course, you get the full course, which is instructional videos, podcasts, replays of past Q&As. But then we also added in these all day declutters because we recognized that people are busy. Like we do need dates on the calendar for accountability as well.
Yeah, I don't know how we got this was your idea to start with the all day declutter because I was like, the course is going to be amazing because YouTube is great, but we have to make it short and entertaining. And it's
Mhm.
hard to because we won't be able to get the views if we're not like
Right.
so the course was amazing because we can go more in depth and we can really talk to you like you're a client. But then you had the idea, Dawn, to do the all day declutter. And I was working with tons of clients virtually doing coaching. I didn't I didn't realize it would be the same. That
Mm,
we could do
yeah.
a live all day declutter with thousands of people and it be just as effective as when I'm working live with one-on-one person
Yeah.
because it's the same method. We're saying this is the step. Let's do this together. You're asking questions in the I'm replying to you and Dawn's
Yeah.
replying to you and
Yeah.
Dave's replying to you. So it is like coaching and then you get the energy from everyone else
Mhm.
doing it at the same time as you.
Yeah.
And they're posting pictures of all the things that are leaving. It is the most emotional. most inspiring day that I just look forward to these so much. I'm not gonna say it's not exhausting because it's exhausting.
Yeah.
You will let go of more than you've ever let go in your life in one day. I
Yes.
guarantee that.
I agree.
Bags and boxes are leaving, but it's like it's powerful,
Hmm.
isn't it? And we're
Yes.
coaching you on the main areas that you everyone needs to work on,
Hmm.
and I like to break it down into different groups, so no matter
Yeah.
where you are, you have something to work on, and you're gonna make a huge difference in your home.
And that's what I really appreciate, right? And so for the schedule for the all day declutter for this coming one, we're spending 2 hours in storage spaces, then 2 hours in the kitchen. And so again, like this success path that we were just showing you, you get to say, okay, where am I personally at on the path? And then Cass is going to be kind of going back and forth between the different groups coaching you. So she'll be like, okay, if you're decluttering, this is what we're doing. Okay, you're organizing, this is what you're doing. And so it's so helpful that you just tailor it right to where everyone's at. And the feedback we got was like 1 hour is too fast. Like 2 hours is kind of the sweet spot to spend in one space. And then you get a little burnt out from it. And you're like, okay, the last 2 hours of the day is sentimental items. And so maybe you're just going to sit on the couch then with a box of photos. Cass has the fastest way known to man to sort photos. And so then you're like, okay, then I'm going to sit and we're going to sort photos, or I'm going to work on the scrapbooks we haven't finished, or I'm going to organize my craft supplies, whatever it is that you need to work on during that time. And by the end of the day, you feel like a rock star.
Rockstar. And guess what? We don't make a mess either. We don't make a mess during
Yes.
the all day declutter. We're not taking everything out and trashing it.
Hmm.
We are just making it better all
Yeah.
day long. Huge, huge progress with no mess.
And I love what Tiffany says. She says, looking at my home now after a year of being part of your group and very minimal effort on my part, it's a night and day difference. I don't even have a catch all room anymore. That reminds me, my dad always has the saying, like, work smarter, not harder. And I feel like that's what we accomplish. We're not stuff shuffling. Like you said, you're not going to turn around and have a huge mess behind you. Your family's not going to come home and be like, oh no, you made it worse again, right? Like all of us have had that experience. It is not like that at all. Christine says, it's such a good value. The live declutters are the bomb. My kids love them too. And that's what I love. If your family is helpful, like have them around. Like the kids are your runners. Like, people are making donation runs, like whatever you need. If they're not helpful, if they're going to be like, no, that's mine, or why are you getting rid of that? Then tell them to go out for lunch and work on it. It'll be us and you, and you'll still get a ton done.
Yeah, it's fun. I feel like maybe sometimes I push too hard, but I push because sometimes we need a gentle coaxing and sometimes we need a boot camp. We
Yeah.
need like, listen, enough is enough. You deserve a home that's easy to maintain. You
Yes.
deserve a house that you're proud of. You deserve to not work all day to have a clean house, for it to feel effortless. And
Yeah.
here's how it's going to happen, and it's going to happen right this freaking second.
Yeah.
And and it
Well,
can. It
it can.
can.
And that's what I look back, Cass, now, and I'm like, okay, it's been like 8 years since we did the hard work of decluttering our house. And now I look and I'm like, I have been able to enjoy that year after year after year. And as my kids get older and older, I'm like, oh my goodness, I am more grateful today than I was 7 years ago, even when our kids were little and I felt like I was drowning in stuff. I thought it was good back then. And now I'm like, I need to be available to them. I need our house to be peaceful. Like the world is crazy. The world is crazy, right? Like we need to be able to come home and be like, okay, like we can all let our guard down. We don't have piles of stuff taunting us, sending negative messages about our stuff. And it is absolutely possible. But please just recognize if you're in that group that needs a little bit of extra help and accountability and motivation, like, would you please allow us to do that for you? Because it is too good and it is too worthwhile. Like, we don't want to leave you behind. Like, it's just too important.
Yeah, I was working today with this mom, and she had 3 rooms stacked to the ceiling, and we got it all done in one day, and she
So, did
made
she have a
decisions.
hard time? Like, do people start out
She
where it's
did
like hard and then it's
she
like they get going?
did. She really didn't, and I said to her,
Wow.
"Why have you not done this before?" And she
Yeah.
said, "I just needed somebody to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
just needed you to say, 'Hey, are you using this particular
Yeah.
thing?'" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, put it out." And she's like, "Oh, can" I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's leaving now." And she's like, "Okay." I don't know why, but sometimes we do need a coach. We
Yeah.
need somebody to come in and say, "Listen, man, you can't see the forest for the trees.
Right.
Let's break this down. Let's
Yeah.
break this down for you into step by step." And it starts with that extra potato masher. Get it out of your
Mhm.
drawer and put it in the box. You do not need 4 spatulas. Stop it. Put it in there. You're not using what's the thing that munches things up that everybody uses all the time?
Yeah, like the
The food
chopper. Oh, the
processor
processor, yeah.
or the chopper.
Yeah, I
Like,
love it.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean? No,
absolutely.
stop. If it's in the box, stop it. Stop it. But let's
Isn't
leave
it
it
amazing
be
though
there.
how like sometimes we just still need permission? That's what I needed when I started. I needed someone to say, you don't have to have all this stuff. And it is okay. Like your life is so much more valuable than the things that you've spent money on. And I'm sorry that the marketing deceived you. I'm sorry that that influencer like encouraged you to buy this. I'm sorry you thought you were going to be a pastry chef and now you don't have the energy for it. Like I actually am sincerely sorry about some of those dreams that we're not able to do. But we also know that we can't let these things continue to sit here and taunt us and for us to have to waste our valuable time at managing them. So
And
we,
it's taking our space. Like,
yes,
all this stuff
yeah,
is filling our home and it's filling our minds. We have to remember where everything is. And now we don't have room for the things. So everything's on the counter because we're storing stuff we don't even like anyways. Like,
yeah,
when you say it
yes,
out loud,
yes,
when you
yes,
say it out loud, you're like, "What?" But when it's your kitchen and you're in
yeah,
it,
yep,
it's different. It's
it is.
harder. You need
Yes,
that other person to come beside you and say, "That's redonkulous, friend.
yeah.
Put it in the box."
Yeah, I love that. So right now, just through the end of the day tomorrow, Wednesday, depending on when you're watching this, the course is just $94. So that's the full course, and then access to not only this upcoming all day declutter where you can join us live or watch the replays, but it also includes replays of all of the past live decluttering events as well. It is so fun to hear from friends in the group who say, I go back and watch the past ones and like the energy is the same and the permission to let things go, the guidance, Cass yelling, me crying, laughing. I mean, like telling you I love you and it's going to be fine. Dana is just steady Eddie. And, you know, we don't have her on with us today, but we champion her, you know, decluttering without making a mess method. And so we understand if you have limitations, we work around that. But we also give you the tools you need and the path you need so that by this time, yes, next year, your house could feel 1000% different. And we want that for you so much.
We really do. Yeah. I mean, I always cry on the all day declutter.
Yeah,
I
back and
start out yelling
forth.
and then I cry. I bawl. I don't know why. I don't know
Stuff
why.
is emotional, right? I mean, we're going to do sentimental stuff. At the end of the day, we have, you know, the clothes we don't fit into, the things we bought we shouldn't have. Like it is. So that's why if we can do it in a safe environment with friends who understand. I mean, I love watching the comments on that day. Someone will be like, "Oh no, I spent $200 with this." And people are like, "It's okay. Let it go." Like it's okay. We all make mistakes. It is okay. It's such a safe place to process and to just be honest and then to get permission and move it out. So
Mhm, move it out. I always let go of a ton of stuff too because 'cause we're
I know,
decluttering
right?
along with you,
Yeah.
and I'm always
Yeah.
like, they're like, "I don't even like this. I know it was my mother's, but it's guilty clutter." And I'm like, I'm so proud of you. What can I get rid of?" And it's like, I cry. My
I
husband always
know.
is like, "Are you
What is wrong?
crying again? What is wrong with you? You're live and you're just sobbing." I cry
I
every time.
know. I know. It's so good though. It's well, and we laugh a lot too. So we do a lunch
We
break
do.
Q&A and then at the end we do an after party and we just it's a lot of fun.
It's
So
a roller coaster of
it
awesomeness. Yes, it is.
that's what we didn't need. We shouldn't have had a path. We should have had a roller coaster.
Should have had a roller coaster, yeah. I will cry on Saturday, okay? I know it. I said I wasn't going to, but I'm going to cry. I'm gonna yell and cry. It just oh, it's hilarious. Hilarious.
Awesome. Well, we have links for everything that free printable, and then if you just want to check out the details of the all day declutter, the schedule, and everything that's included for the Take Your House Back course, you can link through to that as well. But we love you. I don't know. It was fun reading the comments too. Everyone's like, "Oh, I love seeing you two together." It's been awesome to get to work with Cass on this. Cass, I mean, you are the real deal. I mean, just
It's all you.
you
You're the
know
your
it.
mom. You're
No,
the
I have learned
that's you.
so
I
much
love
from you.
you.
No, use. No, it's
No,
been
but
really
legit,
cool.
you're amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you. Awesome. All right. Well, we really hope that we will see you on Saturday, but if not, we're all still friends, and we'll see you right here on YouTube as well. So, all right, we love you, and we'll see you later.